Good morning, Martin County. Man, we're coming at you with stories all over the place these days. One yesterday with our good friend Robert de Burns Jr. de Turd. We said we were going to drop the junior, weren't we? All right. Robert W. Burns de Turd. Yeah, if you missed that one, well, talkaboutmartin.com. You'll see it in the list. It's there. Be sure to listen to it. Amazing interview that Casey Ingram did yesterday. And we alluded in our video from yesterday that we were going to talk a little bit about zoning. Yeah, zoning laws here in the village of Indiantown. And let me ask you, why do they call it single family dwelling? Because it's designed to have a single family living in the dwelling. So what happens when you start using these 800 to 1200 square foot homes with so-called 2 and 3 bedrooms in them? They can't be that big. 10 by 12? 12 by 12 maybe? Goodness, you'd be lucky if they were that big probably. And you have 2 of those 3 bedrooms and probably even the living room at some point rented out on a nightly basis as boarding houses. As boarding houses. You can rent a cot, you can get a hot, you can take a squat, you can find a young Chiquita. It's all on a menu. And this is taking place in single family homes. In a single family home, like the home of the recent murder that just took place in Indiantown, the most recent murder, not a recent murder, the most recent murder. They seem to be occurring with more frequency around here, which is really kind of an indication of things. When you have statistics like this in your backyard, you have a problem. This recent murder took place inside of one of these homes, okay, where you rent a cot. Now, you can attribute it to domestic violence. He said he did it because she was leaving him, taking the child. He accused her of being infidel, not having fidelity. So, you could accuse, as has been pointed out to me, this could just be a domestic abuse situation, and it could be just that. The fact that it happened in one of these illegal boarding houses, I guess, is subsequent, but does bring, subsequent kind of to the discussion. However, it does bring to point a meeting that was had 2.5 years ago, two and a half years ago, probably 2.5, with State Representative Toby Oberdorf. There were 3 of us, a clergyman, a deacon, and myself. It sounds like the start of a bad joke, doesn't it? Went into a state legislator's office, and we actually did. We went down, we scheduled time with Toby, we sat with him, and we wanted to talk to him, even though he's out of district for Indiantown. This is Snyder's district back here, the sheriff's son. And we went to see Oberdorf because he was on a gubernatorial, a governor's appointed, he was a governor's appointed representative on a gubernatorial task force, on a governor's task force for human trafficking. And that's why we went to see him. We gave him this message very clearly, that there are a large number, more than you can count on your hands, of these illegal boarding houses in Indiantown. And don't go jumping up a tree yet. We're going to take a minute and talk about this stuff. So before you start screaming at me, just hang on, okay? We told him that there were children exposed in this environment, like the toddler that was in the room with his father standing over his mother's body with a bloody knife in his hand, okay? Those types of environments. We told him that there was illicit, illegal activity that was taking place behind those doors. We told him that we have eyewitnesses and people that will corroborate the fact that there is human trafficking of young women and minors that take place in these brothels, in these flop houses. Not all, but some, that at night are put in a van and taken from house to house. And you can get a cot for one price. You can get use of the bathroom for another price. You can get use of the shower for another. You can get a meal for another price. You can also get a girl for a price. And then in the morning you leave. You take everything with you that you have and you leave. So you are not a resident of that home in a single family, and they are not all your family members. There's a problem. Our children are growing up in this environment. Can you imagine the alcohol consumption that takes place in these places? Can you imagine the life of a 3, 4, 5, 6? How about a 10, 11, 12-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl growing up in this? Helping mom prepare whatever the dinner's going to be that night in the kitchen with all of these men in the house drinking beer. Where's dad? Drinking beer with him? Out on a second job? Are they there because they can't afford the rent and this is how they're paying their mortgage? Is this a sign of just economic woe? That there are families that have to rent their rooms out in this volume, in this number, that have to do it at all illegally to be able to pay their mortgage? I'm asking the question because we need to talk about it, folks. And instead of scheduling an appointment to go back to the office of State Representative Toby Oberdorf and have him tell us that the sheriff's department have it all under control, that what do you want us to do? Go through the doors? We can't go through the door. We have to have a reason to go through the door. Okay. Let's talk on a positive note. The sheriff's office has done a tremendous job in this community. Tremendous job. No one is going to sit here and take anything away from our boys and women. Leo and your canines. And all that sexy tactical gear. But I digress. Listen, guys. You guys have busted 3 people in the past week and a half, 2 weeks, for lewd and lascivious behavior, and all of them involving a minor. You've had another murder on your hands. You have to deal with things like the murders that took place in the swamp over here in Booker Park. I mean, these types of activity. There was a theft around the corner from me the other day. Someone stole a dirt bike. Your hands are full. I get that. I get that. But as a community member, I think that there are things that the community can come together to do to help bring the situation, one, into the town center where we can talk about the reality of it and bring it into the light, because right now it exists in the shadows because no one wants to talk about it. And we're not doing ourselves a service. We're doing ourselves as a community an injustice by not looking at this as there are human beings that every night pay for a cot that are one step away from living on the streets in our town. Okay, how about if we have that discussion in Crackers? How about if we have that discussion over at Shaw Hall or in the swamp? What about our brethren that are that close to the edge? What of the people that may be paying those mortgages, that need that money to pay it? There are neighbors, brethren, and friends that need help. See, that's what we're supposed to do as a community, is find ways to help. But if we don't identify those areas that need the assistance, what is a good person to do? What is a church to do? What is a Christian to do? What is a not-for-profit to do? What is a law enforcement agency to do? We can't go in there with billy clubs beating people over the head. That's not going to work. No one wins in that situation. Least of all our neighbors, okay? It's going to happen naturally through gentrification. You're going to actually be expensed out of the market. New homes are going to go in. People are going to buy these homes that are there now. You're going to think they're out of their mind, but they're going to buy up the homes that are there now, and they're going to turn them into 3, 4, 5 times the value. And the people that are in them now are not going to be able to afford it. This is going to take a little time. It's coming. It's going to happen. It's already starting to happen. It's called gentrification. But right now, we have a real problem. This is more than some video that you're seeing online on social media. We have a real problem right here in our own backyard in Indiantown that we need to address. So I'm calling for local leaders, town council members. Can we have a non-racial conciliatory workshop with the public? Can one of you, if not all of you, have a special, can we meet at the amphitheater? Can the preachers, the law enforcement, the people of this community, can we plan something? Can somebody take hold of this? Help? Stand with me. Stand with us. There are more of us when we stand together on common ground than there are when we stand alone on our own island. And if we can find common ground, we can find common solution. We can find a common way to make our community better. Our community. The world is on fire. And if we don't pay attention to our own backyard, then we're all going to burn. Enough. I've said enough. The discussion's out there. Let it sit where it is. Enough for today. No more out.